Sohei is a really misunderstood hero, with a completely backwards way of how his chains work and his need to constantly use zone attacks in order to start and extend fights. This makes picking him up and playing him somewhat difficult, because his playstyle is so much unlike any other hero. I am not even going to go into any depth about his soul system, that adds another layer of complexity, unrivaled by any other hero. With the latest Warriors Den livestream announcing some seemingly little changes to Sohei, I wanted to use this video to go over what these changes imply and what I think will happen to our favorite noodle-armed warrior, Sohei. First of all, I'm no rep 80 Sohei, because I play the game a healthy amount, unlike other absolute mad lads. Even though playing for honor for any amount of time is unhealthy. I have dedicated basically almost every hour of my playtime after Sohei's release to playing him. So I think I'm in a pretty good spot to make some judgment regarding these changes. And why I think these changes could possibly even make Sohei overpowered. No wait, let me explain. Let's just work ourselves from top to bottom in this one. Open elites, including dodge attacks, can now chain into heavy soul attacks. This basically just means that he gains access to a new chain, light into heavy. What is the positive effect that this buff will have? Even though this seems like a very marginal change, this will be a very impactful addition to Sohei's offense. As we have it in the game right now, Sohei needs to input a zone attack after light in order to get to his combo heavy finishers. Or to put it into simpler terms, to get to his main mix-up. With this new change, you will be able to bypass the necessity of a follow-up zone after you start a fight using a light. Which in the long term will mean you will have access to his unblockables faster and you will chew through way less stamina. This is not a change that will just affect him during 1v1 situations, but also in teamfights. If the suction on his heavy attacks is good enough, he will be able to do backstab lights into a pinning unblockable, which already sounds disgusting. This would be very similar to the current state of San Hu, which can do backstab lights and then drag towards his opponent with his top heavy finishers. Overall, this will have a positive effect on his performance, but it shouldn't be anything game breaking. Moving to the second change. Opener heavies now chain into light soul attacks. This seems like a useful change for anyone that doesn't play Sohei religiously. For anyone mentally unstable enough to play Sohei somewhat frequently though,
today's subject.
I have one question. How many heavy neutral attacks have you guys actually done? Like, throughout all of your playtime. I think I can count all of my neutral heavy attacks I've done in my entire playtime on one hand. This is because of one very simple reason. Guardbreak vulnerability. As a Sohei player, you have always used your zone attack in order to access his light and his heavy finishers, while keeping a guardbreak vulnerability to a minimum. The only change that this will have is that after front step heavy, you will be able to do a light attack. Yippee, I guess. But that's beside the point. They probably just did this for consistency reasons, so he can flow into either attack after every attack. What has to be tested though is if this actually changes his absolute piss poor fucking pathetic, oh my god I hate it so much, out of stamina punish. So he no longer deals 32 damage. Before I come to the next point, I just want to point out that his sidestep light attack is now almost completely pointless when you put into consideration the previous two changes. Since now he has access to either his lights or his heavies, you should basically always do a heavy sidestep in order to cover a bigger area in front of you. But if you want to avoid being superior blocked or flipped by a Black Prior, you can just use his light sidestep poke. Anyways, next point. Mad Monk can now chain to Mad Monk Extender. This means that he can now perform a second zone attack after the first one. The practical use of this is limited, but there clearly is one. Unexperienced players already have trouble ganking with Sohei because he keeps tagging everyone. This change will make the issue slightly more prevalent. But all in all, this is a good quality of life improvement. Having more options is always better. Please keep in mind that with how it is written, you don't have an infinite zone attack combo. You can only perform one extra zone attack after neutral one. This sadly means that you can't become a bloodthirsty deadly Beyblade that only uses his zone attack to move around the map. Now to something massive, that basically seems like it is the smallest change there is. Chain link timing decrease by 1 frame. So, in non-nerd terms, this means that you will no longer be able to hit Sohei out of his unblockables after blocking his heavy attacks. Chain link timing basically means how big the delay between 2 attacks is, with a shorter chain link timing meaning the attack comes out faster. This is a great addition to Sohei's kit and can be compared to the change Kensei has gotten on his combo top heavy finishers a very long time ago. So no more getting slapped around during your combo. Now coming to the most complex change, and sadly a nerf to Sohei. Which is crazy to say, to be honest, but yeah, they nerfed Sohei. Put it on the thumbnail, walk around on the streets butt naked and paint yourself with 6 souls, I don't know. Mad Monk now has 433 milliseconds of guardbreak vulnerability. So what the hell does that even mean? If my calculations aren't off, this changes one of, if not the strongest tool at his disposal. Let me explain. Not having momentum in For Honor is a very simple system, comparable to rock, paper, scissors. If I go for the parry and my opponent goes through with his attack, I win. If I go for the parry and he feints, I get guard broke. If I don't go for the parry and he lets it rip, well, I eat shit and die.
Some air. Are you okay?
I'm dying. Help me.
Sohei turned this disadvantaged state onto its head by bringing a goddamn shotgun to the table. Let's say you think your opponent will feint into a guard break. With a normal hero, you can do a front step heavy in order to punish this feint. Most of the front step attacks can't be feinted though, so if your opponent anticipates this, he will easily be able to punish this. But this doesn't apply to Sohei. If you rip a zone attack on parry timing and your opponent feints, well, he's fucked. Due to how early this attack gains hyper armor and how little guard break vulnerability he has, you're basically in a winning advantage the second your opponent feints an attack. This means that if your opponent feints his heavy into a light, into a guard break, or even into a different attack, Sohei will always win with his zone attack. This is the reason Sohei is so damn strong even when he's on the defense, because his zone attack allows him to basically negate anything your opponent can do if they feint the attack. Since his zone attack is also so slow, you can easily react to your opponent feinting into neutral and react accordingly. All of this is just a complicated way of saying if your opponent feints an attack and you anticipate that he feints this attack, he's absolutely screwed. But how does this nerf even affect this interaction? I can say with almost 100% certainty that if you are fighting an opponent that can soft feint their attacks, you will now no longer be able to use your zone attack in order to guarantee a counter mix-up of your own. Sadly, I cannot tell you guys if this interaction will be different when it comes to characters that can only hard feint their attacks in order to go for a guard break. I find it strange that heroes like Shinobi and Jormungandr have the exact same defensive mix-up, but for those heroes it remained unchanged. But oh well. Let's come to my very quick final statement. Before I wrap things up, I just want to say one more thing. Why did they not change it so that Sohei can actually change the target after he successfully hits a bash? I don't want to hit the same guy I have just bashed. Warden can change target, Warmami can change target, Jormungandr can change target, Tiandi can change target. Why? Griffin can change target. Why the hell can't Sohei change his damn target after a bash attack? Sorry, I lost it there for a second. So, these changes will most definitely help Sohei. He will consume less stamina, he will have a better offense and a faster offense, he will have a safer offense, and his double zone attack will also be useful in ganking situations. His neutral zone attack, now having such a big guardbreak vulnerability, will be very noticeable. You will be eating a whole lot more neutral guardbreaks out of nowhere with Sohei now, but hey. Yeah. All in all, I'd say I'm somewhat pleased with this buff. But anyways, you know the drill by now. Watch yourselves out there, okay?